So Recaro and BBS both filed for bankruptcy this past week. What's going on in the collector car world when it comes to these accessory companies, and is private equity really to blame for all of these fallouts? Let's talk about it right now on the Patina Collective. Okay, now let's break it down for you guys. Now, when it comes to the world, it's easy to blame finance companies, easy to blame private equity for things that go wrong. But from a guy that's worked in the investment world for a number of years and now invests in all these gorgeous Mercedes you see in the Patina Collective, let's talk about what's really happening. I'll give you guys the real insight into these companies. So what's happening right now? Let's take them one by one, BBS and Recaro. Now, BBS is a company that's been through a lot of trouble in the past 20 years. Since 2007, they filed for bankruptcy 5 times. That means basically it's a financial hot potato for anyone coming into the organization. Keep in mind the type of company BBS is and what they have to do. They have to provide wheels that meet European road safety standards, US safety standards, international safety standards, test them, develop them, at the same time paying legacy to old vintage models, and that's where a lot of their customers lie. Developing also wheels for racing teams, etc. It's a high technology, high skill business. It's not just as simple as banging out a couple wheels. It involves metallurgy, it involves science, it involves a lot of research and development. So there's a high cost of goods going into that business. That being said, they do have a strong legacy brand, so what's really the issue? Now keep in mind, Germany is a tough place to do business. It's highly regulated, energy costs are very high, and currently we know what's happening right now with the conflict in the Ukraine is a potential hotbed for spillover from that conflict. So a lot of these factors are playing to why it may be so hard for a company like BBS to survive. That being said, its last private equity partner is well known in the automotive space. They have a lot of great distribution. And the good news is for us in the US, it hasn't affected their US subsidiary. BBS USA is still up and running, still operational, but there probably will be some fallout in things like supply chain management, where these wheels are coming from, and even customer feedback loop into R&D. That's a big way companies stay ahead, is taking their customer feedback, giving it to R&D. And unfortunately, when this happens, usually the first thing to get cut is research, development, and special projects. So the BBS story is one of a lot of bankruptcies that have happened before. Another private equity company kind of took the hot potato. Germany is a tough place to do business in, and there's a lot of places in Europe. But probably there were some issues with working with their partners, but it could very well have been a plan that was in effect for a number of years and inevitable. Now when it comes to Recaro, Recaro's in a bit of a different place. They've been around since 1905 or 1906, making custom leather seats for all sorts of applications, most notably for racing cars and specialized vehicles, automobiles, but also they do things like aerospace. They make seats for airplanes, different airplane manufacturers, helicopter manufacturers, etc. So Recaro is in a wide area of application, still a lot of R&D, still a lot of development, but they're a well-established brand. They don't seem to be loaded up with too much debt as to why they've only taken on one investor, a large investor in their entire life since 1906. But once again, you're in a position here with Recaro where you're trying to operate out of Europe. And it's become increasingly more challenging for companies that undergo a lot of regulation, especially in the manufacturing space, where you have to have human resources application, you have to have R&D, you have to meet certain environmental standards. A lot of that manufacturing for European-based companies is getting outsourced to areas east of them, towards Poland, towards other parts of Eastern Europe, and kind of the R&D and research and product headquarters remains in Germany. So is private equity to blame for both of these companies going out of business? Yes and no. They both face a lot of challenges from the outset. BBS is a story of bankruptcy after bankruptcy, so I can't really blame private equity for having to go through another bankruptcy in order to try to find a way for a path forward for that business. When it comes to Recaro, it's probably a little easier to look at who changed the formula, who changed the soup, what were they doing. Now Recaro is blaming their bankruptcy on a failed contract, but who brought that contract into play? Who saw it as a strategic thing to go and invest and build towards this individual contract? Usually it's a portfolio company of the private equity or an allegiance of the private equity that will draw these smaller companies to take on big roles in order to achieve massive growth. So, you know, BBS, I can't blame private equity as to why that went sideways. When it comes to Recaro, you know, the buck stops with the investors who are putting their money behind there in conjunction with management, and that's the only thing that's changed in the last decade or so is the investment team going into Recaro. But great legacy brands, two fantastic brands, and thankfully both still have their US operations open. But sadly, something we take very proudly and something we adore in Patina Collective is German heritage, German engineering, and German manufacturing. We're sad to see it happen. So stay tuned for more videos like this, updating you on the state of the business of Mercedes, the state of the business of what's happening with the automotive collector world and vintage vehicles like these. And keep in mind, Patina Collective is here for all of your needs. Reach out to us anytime, check us out, subscribe to this video, like, follow, share this with someone who has BBS wheels. If you guys have bought BBS before and noticed a change in quality, or bought Recaro and noticed a change in quality, leave a comment below and let us know what you think about these weird and wild times when it comes to the accessory car market. Peace out, guys.